Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to talk about a full face of first impressions on a lot of different stuff. So if that's something you're interested in watching, you're in the right place. We're about to get into it.
I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf.
Alright gang, so we're going to do this one a little bit different. This is my full face of first impressions, but we're going to walk through every product that I used to get this look step by step, and I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on what I felt like worked and what I felt like didn't work. But before we get started, if you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button at the end of this video. If you liked it, make sure that you give me a thumbs up on the video, and you guys make sure you're following me on Instagram at Erica Approved. Now let's get into this full face of first impressions. Editing Erica here. So as you can see, eyeshadow is jacked up here. It's allergy season, watery eyes. I'm sorry, it gets better. If you're not, you definitely should. So on Instagram, there is a little option on my account that's called IGTV, and it'll give you little 10-minute long reviews that I can give you guys in just kind of a short format, and I actually think it's kind of neat. I've reviewed the Laura Lee mini palettes on IGTV. I've talked about beauty blenders, some Milani eye toppers, and a couple of other things. So feel free to go check that out. But recently, I talked about Elcie Cosmetics on my IGTV story. I recently got a bunch of different products for them. I got a setting spray from them. I got some face oil from them, which I actually really like. This is a dry oil, so it absorbs really quickly into the skin. But one of the things that I got from them was this primer, and this is actually called the Pearl Radiance Primer by Elcie. Now this obviously is a radiant primer. This is a primer that is supposed to give you a nice bit of moisture in addition to longevity with your foundation, and it's also supposed to give you a little bit of a shine underneath your foundation as well. So this actually went on pretty well. I really like the way it felt. It did make me feel really moisturized, and honestly it has helped with the longevity of this foundation over the course of the day. I really like the way that this performs. It also smells really good. Next up is color correction, and I did want to try something new from e.l.f, and it's just their color correction stick. It's just a little pencil. It's got a little bit of a peachy tone to it. It's very inexpensive, and I thought if it worked for color correcting that I'd really like it because it is really a good deal. And surprisingly enough, it did a fairly decent job of canceling out the circles in my under eye area. Now, there are ones out there that I think I really like a little bit better than this one. I know that the Revlon Photo Ready makes a great brightening and color corrector pen that works really well, but I have a lot of different color correctors because color correcting in the under eye area is something that I must do on a daily basis. So I wanted to try something new just to see if an inexpensive option like this would work, and I was surprised that it really did. And not only did it work, but it lasted throughout the course of the day as well. So this one I was really excited about, and I love the fact that even though it's in this kind of jumbo pencil size, it has a twisty bottom, so you don't have to really worry about sharpening it, and there is a ton of product in here. So if you guys are looking for a great peach toned color corrector, this one by e.l.f is great. Next, I went in with foundation, and this time I decided to try kind of a radiant foundation, and the foundation I chose to try was a foundation by Japonesque. Now, a lot of people kind of ignore Japonesque. I know it's one of those brands that's very underrated, but surprisingly enough, I really liked this foundation. Now, I got a little bit of a darker shade to put on the outside of my face, and then I got like a little bit of a shade lighter to put on the middle of my face. So, like in my forehead, my nose, my chin, and kind of right in this area. It's just a way to bring some light to the center of your face without having to put like extra layers of product on there. So that way you're not putting a foundation on, then putting like concealer on in here to try and brighten it, and another layer and another layer. It's just a way to keep the layering of products to a minimum, but to still have kind of that lightening effect towards the center of your face. Now, I really like the way that this applied. It went on very nicely. I actually prefer using my fingertips to kind of blend it into into the skin because it does have that kind of skincare serum feel to it, but it's very, very radiant. So I liked putting it on with my finger and then going over with a beauty blender and kind of bouncing it out. Now it is buildable. They do say that the coverage is supposed to be customizable, so you can put it on for a very sheer finish, or you can layer it and get more full coverage, and I found that that was actually very true. If you just go in with like a brush and do a really light layer, it almost looks like a tinted moisturizer. But when you put it on the way I did, a little bit of a thicker, a little bit of a heavier application, you can actually get about a medium coverage. If you were to go in with another thin layer, you would be able to build it up to full. The thing that I liked about this foundation is that you can build it and it doesn't feel cakey or heavy with the additional layers that you apply to the skin. It sinks into the skin very, very nicely, and overall, I was really surprised with this foundation, and it lasted all day long as well. So overall, this foundation by Japonesque is a win, and if you guys have been looking at this and you want kind of a very lightweight, very radiant type of foundation, I would absolutely recommend this. Next up is the concealer that I used, and I was a little nervous about this one. This was a concealer by Makeup Revolution. Now, I tend not to go the drugstore route when it comes to concealer because I can be a little picky. But surprisingly enough, this concealer actually really surprised me. Now, I will say this about this concealer. This is not a very high pigmented concealer. So in other words, there's not like a ton of pigment in it. Like the Too Faced Born This Way, the new concealer has a ton of pigment in it. The Tarte Shape Tape has a ton of pigment in it. I would say that this concealer is more of like a brightening concealer with giving some coverage at the same time. Now, the reason I decided to use a concealer like that is because I'd already laid down a color corrector that did a really good job at hiding my under eye circles. So when you have a color corrector or when you have a brightener that has done a really good job at hiding your dark circles underneath the eye, then it's not really necessary to go in with a very high pigment concealer because again, it's just a heavy layer that you don't really need. So in this situation, I opted to go with the Makeup Revolution Fast Base Concealer. Now, I have this concealer in two different shades. I have it in C4 and C7, and C4 is a little bit more of a yellow tone, or a pinky tone, sorry, and C7 has a little bit more of a yellow undertone. I used the C7 underneath here and just kind of patted it out, and then I used the one with the little more pinky undertone just to brighten certain areas of the face, just to see if it would work. Even though I had used a lighter shade foundation, didn't necessarily need to. I did want to see how this did as far as brightening was concerned, and I was actually really surprised. It did a really good job. Again, it's not really heavy coverage, but with this type of look where you're keeping your foundation very radiant, I wanted something that was going to give me a very radiant finish and also help to offset some discoloration, and that's exactly what this did. So not only do I really like the Fast Base Concealer, it doesn't crease, it has this beautiful little spongy applicator on the end, and the consistency overall is great. It's a very lightweight, buildable concealer, and if that is something that you like, then I would absolutely recommend looking into these. I think these did a really good job, especially considering the price. Alright, so up next, it's time to set everything, and I tried two different things here. Underneath my eye, I've heard that the Patrick Starr setting powder is fantastic underneath the eye. So I chose to do this underneath the eye area just to get a little bit of a brightening effect. Now, I will say this, I did like this for a little bit of a brightening effect. I actually even liked the way that it looked, but as the day wore on, this powder did get a little cakey right in here in this area. So overall, I liked the brightening effect. I do feel like there's a little bit of a white undertone to this powder, so you have this kind of white cast like right in here that you know, there's other powders out there like the Too Faced Peach Perfect powder has that kind of pinky peach tone to it, but it doesn't have like this white cast that you see that this powder actually has. So I don't know, I just wasn't a huge fan of this as an under eye setting powder, and I don't know that I would necessarily be a huge fan of this as a setting powder for all over the face. So overall, this particular powder was not something I was really impressed with. The next powder I actually really liked, and I used this just to kind of set my whole face, and this is a face powder by Becca, and it's called the Multitasking Perfecting Powder. And I had never tried this before, but this time I tried it, and this is in the shade Light. I do find that the shade Light actually is a good tone for me. One of the things that I really liked about this is that it gives your skin this very airbrushed finish. So it really gives the skin this really kind of blurred out look, in addition to setting the makeup and helping the makeup last all day long. It pretty much is translucent, even though it's light and it's got a little bit of pigment to it. I found this to be a little more on the translucent side, and I feel like it's beautiful on the skin. It is what it says it is. It says it's a skin perfector type powder, and I found that that's exactly what it did. So fine lines and wrinkles, pores, anything like that, it helps to correct on the skin, and honestly is a beautiful setting powder. Alright guys, so next we're going to go into brows, and I'm sure everybody has heard about these by now. So MAC has these new brows that are called Shape and Shade Brow Tint, and I love these suckers. So the Rage is definitely worth it. I have it in Spiked and Lingering, and I love these. So I love the pen. It's kind of a felt tipped brush applicator up here that helps you kind of really define, and then down here it's almost like a pomade, except it has this little spongy type applicator that's really good for like just filling in the brow. And then of course you have the pen to do a little more detailed work, and I really like this. Not only do I like the way it applies, and it does make pretty quick work of your eyebrows, but I also like the longevity of everything. So it really stays put throughout the course of the day. It gives you a very natural look. Your brows don't look overdone, and I like the ability to really be precise and controlled with where the product is laid. And then the fact that it lasts all day long, I think this is a win-win. I love that it's all in one component. You have the fill-in here with the brow marker type deal up here, and you can get really precise, and then you can just go through and really shade in the brow, and then just go through it with a spoolie. And I think that this is genius, and there's a reason why everyone is raving about these suckers. It really is because this is a great product, and I would absolutely recommend this to you guys. Alright guys, so next we're going to go in with some contour, and again this is another product that I was kind of late to the game on, but recently it went on sale, and it was part of the weekly wow at Sephora, and I basically got it for like $25 and was really excited. And that is the brand who shall not be named on my channel. They do have one product that I have had my eye on for a really long time. So I broke my no buy, and I'm breaking my no mention now, but I'm only going to do it for this one product, and that is the Park Avenue Princess Contour Palette. Honestly guys, I hate the brand, you guys know that. But I have had my eye on this particular palette for quite a long time, and that's what I used to contour with for this particular look. I was almost hoping that this was gonna suck, so I could say, oh, there's a reason why we don't talk about these guys on our channel. For those of you that don't know, I made a decision quite a long time ago that this particular brand would not be talked about or mentioned on my channel, and I'm breaking that today for this particular product and this particular product only, because honestly you guys, I really feel like it's that good. If you have the opportunity to pick this particular product up, I would definitely encourage you to do that. The formula inside this particular product is stunning. This is one of the softest, most pigmented, most beautiful contour palettes that I have seen in a very long time. I'll give you guys a close-up of the palette here. Number one, the packaging is stunning, and then as you open it, you see the little words on the mirror. You get this big mirror, but then you have all of these shades down here. You have a mixture of bronzers, contour, you have highlight, and little setting powders underneath here as well. The whole thing is filled with a formula that is honestly just beautiful. It blends out like a dream, especially when it comes to your contour. You can just put it on there and just blend it out, and it just looks stunning. Another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was actually a brush that I recently discovered. And it's the JD and Lexi collab. It's the 182 contour brush. And you know, I thought, what a fuss over such a small thing. But you guys, this brush makes all the difference in the world when it comes to nose contour. If you guys are looking for a brush that is ideally perfect for nose contour, then this is the brush. I'll show it to you guys up close so that you can just see what it looks like. Not only does it come in just super cute packaging, but the brush is genuinely shaped with this specific task in mind. So you have kind of a fatter blending brush on one end and the very thin, more precision type brush on the other. And whether you're contouring with cream or with powder, this brush is like the perfect size for that. I used the Park Avenue Princess today to contour my nose, and it just really rests perfectly up against the nose, and it just gives you the ability to really contour perfectly, and then just to go back and blend it out. I was surprised at how much attention they paid to how the bristles are cut on this brush, so it gives you a perfect blend. The way that it lays in the contours of your nose gives you an absolutely flawless blend. And then, you know, being able to really get precise with a highlight or a lighter color just down the center of the nose with the other side is perfect. And then you can just blend it out, and the whole thing is great. This has probably cut my nose contour time in half and is absolutely worth the investment. So if you guys haven't had the opportunity to check this particular brush out, I would absolutely recommend that you do. Next, we're going in with a blush by Makeup Revolution. They have a line called Obsession, and I love the blushes in this collection. This one is called Fancy, and I haven't tried it yet, but I tried it in this first impressions, and I love the shade. It just gives you this really pretty natural wash of color on the cheeks. It lasts all day long. It's great quality. It's incredibly soft. And not only is it incredibly soft, but one thing that I do love about these is that you can pop them out and put them in a palette if you would like, or you can just keep it in the compact, which makes it really versatile, and that's really nice. But the formula of these is amazing. They last all day long. They're very pigmented. It reminds me a lot of the Jouer blushes, and it just gives you such a pretty wash of color on your face all day long. And they're really inexpensive, but they're really, really worth it, and I feel like these guys don't get enough love. Alright guys, so next we're going into the eyes, and I've got something here that I tried for the first time and I am loving. Now this is probably not new to you guys, but it is new to me, and that is this giant bad boy by Morphe. This is the 39A palette that was released around Christmas time last year. You guys, the formula in this palette is everything. It is genuinely a lot more like the Jaclyn Hill palette formula, and not at all like the old kind of Morphe pan palettes that they used to have with the plastic kind of outside. I find that these are much better quality. They blend beautifully on the eyes. I love everything about this palette. Now, one thing that I will say is that, number one, everything's very pigmented, so no matter what you dip your brush in, you get a beautiful payoff. Everything looks absolutely stunning on the eyes, and you guys will really, really love that about this particular palette. One thing that I don't like about this particular palette is that there really isn't like a base shade in this palette, so there's not any kind of light shade in this palette that you can reach for to like blank out the lid lid or to use as a highlight. Like for example, this particular look, I chose to go a little lighter here in the inner corner, and unfortunately I had to reach into another palette to complete this look. Now I did reach into the Makeup Revolution Velvet Rose palette, and if you guys have not seen this palette is stunning. It really is gorgeous. It is exactly what they say it is. It's like a velvet rose type palette. That's the kind of vibes that you get off of this. It's very soft glam. It has basically those identical shades in here, but it also includes the lighter colors. So I did dip into this. This was another first impression for me, and I used that to kind of get the highlight and this lighter color on the inner third of the lid. If you guys haven't checked it out, I would definitely recommend that you check it out. The shimmer shades in here are just absolutely stunning, you guys, and even the mattes are just incredible. The pigment, you guys, it's beautiful, and it's a beautiful layout. Who doesn't love these colors? So if you've always wanted to get like the soft glam but you couldn't afford it, this would be a great dupe or a great alternative for you if you like Makeup Revolution. And again, this is the Reloaded Velvet Rose and the Morphe 39A. I think both of these palettes are absolutely stunning, and I will continue to use both of these because they are perfect. All right, you guys, so next we have highlight, and this one kind of shocked me a little bit because I really wasn't ready for how beautiful this was. This is the CoverFX highlight, and this is actually called Sunlit. Now, it looks very unassuming in the pan. It honestly, when you look at it, it just looks like a pressed powder. I didn't think that this was going to be as stunning as it is, but this really turned out to be absolutely gorgeous, you guys. I was so surprised by this particular product. I was like, wow. It does leave a beautiful, beautiful highlight on the skin. The Cupid's bow, the nose, it really just finishes off any look absolutely beautifully, and I think it was gorgeous. I honestly think this is one of the most underrated highlights out there. I don't know why people aren't talking about this particular highlight, because it's CoverFX. The formula is really, really good, so it doesn't show a lot of texture. It actually acts more like a perfecting powder on the skin, so even though you get this really blinding kind of highlight, it actually smooths out any texture or fine lines that you have in that area as well. So it's like a perfecting powder with this blinding highlight, and you guys, it's just beautiful. It is a beautiful highlighter. And of course, I was having a particularly watery eye day today, so I reached for a mascara that I haven't tried before by Wet n Wild, and it is their Mega Length waterproof mascara. Now, typically I don't like mascaras that are waterproof as my first layer because they weigh my lashes down and they don't help with curl. They tend to keep my lashes kind of stick straight, and it does tend to be a little glumpy, and I just don't like it as a first layer. Now, I will seal my mascara sometimes with a waterproof if my eyes are being watery and that kind of a thing, and I really want to just kind of lock my mascara in. But overall, I just am not a fan of waterproof mascaras. I'm just not. It's just, I think, something that I don't like with my lashes. Now, on my lower lashes, I'm all in with waterproof mascara just because I don't like any of that kind of transfer that happens underneath your lashes on your lower lid. So waterproof on my lower lashes, great, but waterproof formulas on my upper lashes, I'm just not a fan of. However, for this to be a Wet n Wild formula, I was actually pretty shocked at how well this did. It did a good job at separating the lashes and making them look really, really pretty, you guys. And it also does a great job on your lower lashes because the brush itself is got these teeth on it that are really kind of vicious looking. I mean, it's really small, spiky teeth on this brush. This makes a great lower lash line brush because it'll really get in there to each individual lash and do a great job at separation and coating the product on your lower lash line. So this is probably going to be my new go-to for my lower lash line because it is a waterproof formula. On the upper lash line, it did good. It is probably one of the better waterproof mascaras that I've ever used on my upper lashes. But again, it's just the same issue. I just don't like that particular formula on my upper lashes because I have so many other mascaras that just do better, and they're not waterproof. But for lower lashes, this is going to be an absolute go-to for me. This is probably going to replace what I'm currently using as my waterproof on my lower lashes because it really is that good. And it's by Wet n Wild, so it's a win-win. And from L'Oreal, I grabbed one of their tubes from their brand new Color Riche line that just came out, and these are gorgeous, you guys. If you have not tried this, it's the whole line is in this kind of matte purple tube with the gold band around it. It is beautiful packaging. I love the way it feels. It's that really soft matte kind of feeling, but the colors are also stunning. This is in Cutting Edge Cork, and it's actually what I have on my lips tonight. I do have a little bit of a gloss over top of it, but this is a beautiful color. This entire line is absolutely stunning. If you guys see these in CVS or the drugstore out there in the L'Oreal section, check the colors out because it's a great formula. It lasts a really long time, minimal reapplication throughout the course of the day, and the tones in this particular line are stunning. So check these out if you guys happen to see these. These are absolutely Erica approved. And then last but not least is a setting spray, and this is by Japonesque. This is kind of like the Morphe setting spray. It's an aerosol setting spray. So if you like that Morphe setting spray, then you will love this. It just has a beautiful spray. It leaves a really pretty finish on the face once you spray it. It just really helps all the powders and everything just melt into the skin, and it really is a stunning setting spray. So again, if you haven't checked out the setting spray by Japonesque, this aerosol setting spray that they have is beautiful, and I absolutely love it. All right, you guys, so that is everything that I have on my face. And so I got ready this morning with all of these products at like 8 o'clock this morning. So I filmed everything first thing this morning. It is now, I don't know what time is it. What time is it? Oh, it is now 10, It is now, I don't know if you guys can see that, it is 10:33 at night. So this has been on for 14 hours now. And honestly, you guys, everything still looks really, really good. The only thing that I didn't like was the setting powder, because that really has gotten very cakey in here over the course of the day, and it's gotten very dry, so I wasn't a fan of that. And you can even see now where I'm touching it, it's just getting kind of like gloopy feeling. And yeah, I have way better setting powders that I can use underneath the eye without having to deal with all of this mess. So the Patrick Starr setting powder was not something I was not a fan of, but the contour is still there. The CoverFX Highlight is still there. The blush from Makeup Revolution is still there. The eyeshadow from this morning still looks really good. I lined with a black in that shadow, so I didn't put on like a different liner. This was just the black shadow that was in the 39A palette. So the shadow still looks good. The mascara hasn't run all day long, so that waterproof claim is great. And I have very watery eyes today because my allergies are going bonkers. So that mascara has held up wonderfully. The brows have held up wonderfully. The foundation has held up wonderfully. I love the concealer. I love the correcting, the color corrector. Everything else that we tried today, I really, really liked, including the setting spray by Japonesque. So we got lucky with this one, you guys. We found a whole bunch of products that I really, really liked, especially for first impressions. I was expecting for something to go horribly wrong today, but honestly, it didn't. Everything still looks really good. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this full face of first impressions. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and hanging out with me. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, I guess that's it. I guess I'll let you guys go. Listen, don't forget to hit the like like button on your way out. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new here. Make sure that you hit that notification bell so that you're notified every time I upload a new video. And I hope everybody is happy, and I hope all of you guys are healthy, and I will see you guys in the next video.